Y'all ever notice how Golden Age Hollywood almost always feels familiar, like it's a place you've been? And post-World War II Hollywood somehow feels wrong, alien, as if somebody is desperately trying to sell you a lifestyle you didn't ask for. In the 30s and 40s, movies gave us front porches, cramped newsrooms, main streets, noisy apartments. By the 50s, suddenly everyone's living in a glass box up on a hill, working in an office the size of an aircraft carrier, and drinking in a bar that looks like it was designed by a architect. This video is going to explore why that happened. Why Golden Age Hollywood used architecture to keep America stitched together, and then after the war, why Hollywood quietly moved into a new house, a modernist one that the American public never really followed them into. Spoiler, this had a lot less to do with the future of architecture and a lot more to do with cameras, egos, and a new managerial class who had decided it was now its job to lecture to America.
Architectural Outcasts.
Before we start talking about modernism and glass houses and how all that can go sideways, we need to take a moment and remember what Hollywood used to be good at. Golden Age Hollywood built its worlds out of shared memory. The architecture on screen wasn't just scenery, it was America's collective scrapbook. Take It's a Wonderful Life. Half the movie is just staircases and streets. You have a drafty old house that's barely holding together. You have a building and loan that looks like it constantly smells of paper and coffee. It works because we know these spaces. You may have never lived in Bedford Falls, but it feels like you have, or your parents did, or you should have. This describes my childhood, and I grew up in the 70s and 80s. Or His Girl Friday. The newsroom is ugly, cramped, noisy, and perfect. Architecture there isn't a style statement. It's a social machine. People shouting over desks, phones ringing, reporters tripping over each other. The building exists so that relationships can happen. Same with the Maltese Falcon. Sam Spade's office is tiny, frosted glass, Venetian blinds, a fan that probably doesn't work. The hotel lobbies and the hotel rooms, the apartments, the hallways, the street corners, they're all recognizable human-scaled places. These aren't the layers of a chosen elite. It's just the city, the world regular people move through. The point is, Golden Age Hollywood used architecture to say, this is our world, our homes, our streets, our institutions, our memories. Even the nostalgia wasn't cheap. It wasn't remember the good old days as escape. It was nostalgia as a kind of moral glue. These places matter because the people in them matter. Nobody in those movies stopped to give you a lecture about America's core values. They just show you a front porch at sunset and a town that would definitely gossip about you if you broke them. After the war, something in Hollywood shifted. Not loud, not sudden. It's more like being at a dinner party and realizing the conversation has shifted to a table you ain't at. Golden Age Hollywood said, here's our home, here's our town, our neighborhood, our country, here's us. Post-war Hollywood said, well, actually, we've decided we're going to move into a glass box up on a hill and become the nation's arbiter of what's good and right. These new spaces didn't reflect the world that Americans lived in. They reflected the world that Hollywood wanted to live in, the world of the managerial class. You know the type. The executive, the technocrat, the rising corporate elite who believed that they had been chosen to redesign the nation, despite the fact they can't find the thermostat in their own office. Hollywood fell in love with that image, the image of itself as America's new leadership class. And the architecture followed. Suddenly, movies are full of immaculate modern living rooms with no books. Dramatic staircases exist only for dramatic staircases. And the color palettes, they look like they were chosen by a very elegant pharmaceutical company. Even the workplaces change. The newsroom in His Girl Friday explodes with life. Tons of energy, noise, and complete chaos. By 1960, you get The Apartment, a corporate space so perfect in its geometry that you know spiritually the coffee tastes like paper clips. The architecture tells the whole story. Hollywood stopped rooting itself in the American experience and started projecting the fantasy of a new elite who saw itself as being separate from the public, smarter, better, more modern. This is the moment when Hollywood turned inward, when they stopped making movies for the audience and started making movies for the mirror. Now, we could stop here and blame everything on the post-war managerial class. And trust me, as an architectural critic raised in the Ozarks, there's a part of my soul that finds that explanation very therapeutic. But the truth is a lot simpler. And, in my opinion, a lot more interesting. Here's the secret. Hollywood embraced modernism because modernism photographs beautifully. That's it. That's the whole thing. The camera loved it. Modernism is clean planes, sharp angles, pools of shadow, reflections, lines that make a cinematographer feel like that they've ascended to a higher realm of geometry. When you put a light on a modernist surface, it behaves. It doesn't argue. It doesn't clutter the shot. It says, "Yes, sir. 3 bags full, cinematographer, sir. I will hold that shadow exactly where you want it." And widescreen cinemascope? Modernism was made for it. Horizontal lines for days, corridors that stretch into infinity, windows that turn into graphic novels when the light hits just right. It's not architecture, it's visual arithmetic. Silhouettes plus reflections plus empty space equals instant drama. Here's the important part. Modernism works brilliantly anywhere it doesn't have to be lived in. A modernist home on screen is seductive. A modernist home in real life? That's just a long-term relationship with water. Drip, drip, drip. That's why Hollywood fell for modernism. Not because the American people wanted it, they didn't. Not because the ideology works, it doesn't. It's because, as a filmmaker, modernism is like the perfect lighting assistant. Always ready, never complaining, and looks incredible from the right angle. On film, modernism is pure image. An image is the one thing that Hollywood has always worshipped. And when Hollywood stopped giving America a shared dream, its golden age ended. That's the story of the shift. From an architecture that invited America in to architecture that told America to admire from a distance. And that distance, that widening gap between America and the image makers, is where the next chapter begins. Because in the 60s and 70s, that image doesn't stay glamorous. It becomes lonely. It becomes alienating. And eventually, it becomes nihilistic. But that's a story for another day. At any rate, I hope I gave you all something to think about. And until next time, y'all be safe. If you're all still here, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. While you're at it, why don't you like this video, subscribe to the channel, click that notification bell. You can hear me yammer on about something else next time. And feel free to share this video far and wide.
Please like and subscribe. Please leave a comment.